What did you make of Donald Trump's comments the other day about possibly...
Which ones? With all due respect to current world leaders, football is bigger than them, and football will survive their regime, their government, their slogans.
There is a man at the center of the 2026 World Cup story who almost nobody is talking about. Not Infantino, not the host city mayors, not the national team coaches. A Canadian. A man who grew up in Vancouver kicking a football as a 5-year-old boy in the streets of his neighborhood. A man who now holds the second most powerful position in world football. And a man who, in the last 6 months, has said things about this tournament that are more revealing, more honest, and more alarming than almost anything else said by anyone with FIFA authority. His name is Victor Montaglani. He is FIFA's vice president. He is the president of CONCACAF, the body that governs football across North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. He has been at the center of this tournament's planning for nearly a decade, and he has done something that senior FIFA officials almost never do. He has told the truth, out loud, in public, more than once. He told the truth when a sitting U.S. president threatened to move World Cup matches, and Montaglani looked into the cameras at Leaders Week London and said, with a composure that could have been mistaken for calm but was clearly something closer to controlled fury, "Football is bigger than any world leader. It will survive their regime, their government, and their slogans." Football will survive their regime. A FIFA official said those words about the president of the host country, in public, on the record. He told the truth when the concerns about Iran and visas and empty stadiums and fan boycotts were building, and he stood at the Business of Soccer conference in Atlanta and said, "The concerns are exaggerated. They will be forgotten on June 11th. And the way he said it, carefully, with the tone of a man managing something rather than dismissing it, told you more than the words themselves. And 1 week ago, at the 76th FIFA Congress in Vancouver, in his hometown, the city where he first kicked a football, he stood in front of the global football community and said something that has barely been reported, but deserves to be heard clearly. He said, "Right now, outside these walls, the world feels less stable. The rules that tie us together are being tested, if not ignored." A FIFA vice president at the FIFA Congress saying the rules that hold the world together are being tested or ignored, 33 days before his tournament opens. That is the statement this video is built around. And by the time we've gone through every layer of what it means, you'll understand why the man at the center of this story matters more than anyone is giving him credit for. Before we go any further, if you want this kind of coverage all the way through to the final on July 19th, subscribe right now. Not tomorrow, right now. The button is there, the next video is already being built, and unlike most things connected to this World Cup, the subscription is absolutely free. Go on. Done? Good. Let's get into it. To understand Montagliani's position, you have to understand who he is and what he represents, because this isn't just a FIFA official reading from a script. This is a man with genuine stakes in this tournament, genuine history with this region, and genuine authority over the decisions being made. Victor Montaglani was born and raised in Vancouver. He played football as a child in the streets of East Vancouver, the son of Italian immigrants, growing up in a city that didn't yet understand what football was or what it could become. He went on to become president of the British Columbia Soccer Association, then president of the Canadian Soccer Association, then CONCACAF president in 2016, then FIFA vice president. A career built entirely from the grassroots up. No shortcuts, no inherited position. And the tournament he has spent a decade helping to build is opening in 33 days, in 3 countries on his continent, in his region, in the city where he grew up. At the FIFA Congress in Vancouver on April 30th, the symbolism of the location was not lost on him. He said, "Just a few miles from here, as a 5-year-old boy, I first kicked a football." He said, "Leadership is not about power. It is about service." He said, "The next chapter of football must be written by all of us, built from the ground up." Those words sound ceremonial. They are ceremonial, but they're framed around the harder truth he had already been saying for weeks, that right now, outside these walls, the world feels less stable. So what exactly has Montaglani been warning about? Let's go through the specific statements because each one is carefully worded, and the precision of the language matters. Statement 1, October 2025, Leaders Week, London. Trump has just suggested in the Oval Office, in those exact words, in that exact room, that he might declare some American host cities unsafe and move matches. He said, "If I think it's unsafe, we'll move it." A sitting president about his own country's World Cup fixtures, making relocation threats about a tournament he had championed for years. Montagliani's response was delivered in London on a stage with cameras present. He did not hedge. He did not use diplomatic language. He said, "It's FIFA's tournament, FIFA's jurisdiction. FIFA makes those decisions." And then, with what several journalists in the room described as a controlled but unmistakable edge in his voice, he added, "With all due respect to current world leaders, football is bigger than them, and football will survive their regime, their government, and their slogans." Football will survive their regime. A FIFA official said those words about the president of the host country, in public, on the record. That is not a standard FIFA press release. Standard FIFA press releases do not contain the word regime in reference to a sitting world leader. And Montagliani did not walk it back. He let it stand. He let it travel, and it traveled to every football publication on Earth within 24 hours. Statement 2, March 25th, 2026, Atlanta, the Business of Soccer Conference. By this point, the situation has compounded significantly. Iran has said it will not play its scheduled U.S. fixtures. 16,800 fans have canceled World Cup tickets over safety concerns tied to immigration enforcement. Hotel bookings in American host cities are running below projections. The visa bond, requiring fans from 50 countries to put up $15,000 before traveling, has been implemented. The concerns are real, documented, and growing. Montagliani stood at that conference and said the concerns were no different to those that preceded previous editions. He cited Argentina 1978, a World Cup held under a military dictatorship that was actively disappearing its own citizens during the tournament. He said every World Cup has geopolitical issues. He said right now it's just magnified because everything in the world is magnified. He said on June 11th, when the ball starts rolling, somehow everybody forgets about everything else and starts worrying about the game. On the surface, that reads like reassurance, like a senior official managing expectations and calming nerves. And to some extent, it is. But look at what's underneath it. He compared this tournament to Argentina 1978, not to Germany 2006. Not to South Africa 2010, not to any of the relatively uncomplicated modern tournaments. He reached all the way back to the most politically compromised World Cup in the sport's history and said, "This is like that, and we dealt with that, and we'll deal with this." That is not the reassurance it sounds like. Argentina 1978 is not a comfortable comparison. It is the example people use when they want to illustrate how badly wrong a World Cup can go in terms of its political context. Choosing it as your reference point is not reassuring, it is alarming dressed as calm. Here is what nobody is talking about in this story, and it connects directly to what Montagliani said in Vancouver. The rules that tie us together are being tested, if not ignored. What rules is he referring to? In context, at a FIFA Congress talking about the upcoming World Cup, surrounded by football leaders from every nation, he is talking about the framework that makes international football possible, the agreements between governing bodies, the visa protocols that allow players and fans to cross borders, the understanding that a nation hosting a tournament will provide equal access, equal safety, and equal welcome to every participating nation, regardless of geopolitics. Those rules are being tested in 2026 in specific, documented ways. 4 qualified nations have fans who cannot enter the United States due to travel bans. 50 countries face a $15,000 bond requirement just to apply for a tourist visa. Iran's players have been warned about their safety by the leader of the host nation. The host nation's own security funding arrived months late. The host nation's transit infrastructure in 3 cities was still being completed 6 weeks from kickoff. Each of those things individually could be explained as a logistical challenge, a process issue, something FIFA and the host cities are managing. Together, they are what Montaglani was describing in Vancouver, rules that hold the international sporting framework together being tested by a set of conditions that don't have precedent in modern World Cup history. And the man at the center of it is not panicking. He's not catastrophizing. He's doing something more difficult and more important. He's holding the line. He's saying publicly and clearly that FIFA's jurisdiction is FIFA's jurisdiction, not any government's. He's saying football is bigger than any individual. He's saying the framework will hold. And he's doing all of that while acknowledging at a Congress in his own hometown that right now the world outside these walls feels less stable. That combination, holding the line while naming the problem honestly, is genuinely rare in football governance. Infantino has been effusive and promotional, wrapping every problem in the language of the greatest event humanity has ever seen. Montagliani has been something different. He's been precise, he's been calm, and he's told the truth even when the truth was complicated. What does all of this mean for the tournament in 33 days? It means the man who knows this region better than almost anyone at FIFA, who grew up here, who built football here for decades, who carries genuine personal investment in this World Cup succeeding, has spent the last 8 months telling anyone who listens that the challenges are real, that the comparisons to previous tournaments don't fully hold, and that the rules that govern international football are under pressure in ways they haven't been before. It also means that on April 30th, at the FIFA Congress in his hometown, he said something that pointed forward rather than backward. He said the next chapter of football must be written by all of us, built from the ground up. That's not the language of a man managing a crisis. That's the language of a man who believes the tournament will happen, will succeed, and will produce something worth remembering. Whether he's right, whether June 11th truly does make everything else disappear the way he says it will, is the question football will answer in 33 days. But the warning he issued in Vancouver, the defiance he showed in London, and the honesty he brought to Atlanta form a more complete picture of where this World Cup actually stands than anything else said by anyone at FIFA in the last 6 months. The rules that tie us together are being tested. Football will survive their regime. On June 11th, somehow, everybody focuses on the game. 3 statements, 1 man, 1 tournament, and 33 days to find out which of them turns out to be the truth that matters most. So tell me what you think. Do you believe Victor Montagliani that the concerns will evaporate on June 11th and the football will take over? Or are the problems around this tournament too deep to be solved by a kickoff? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. If this channel gives you the real story behind the headlines, subscribe and stay with us all the way to the final on July 19th. Every update, every angle, every development that matters.